Hey friends, welcome back to another video. My name's Lefebvre and today I've decided I want to paint tiny with tiny art supplies. So I have this teeny tiny watercolor palette, which is actually awesome. I think I showed it in a video a while ago. Comes with, well, it comes like this, where it's closed. I'll show you up close in a minute. And then you open it and it's magnetic. And then you can clip it to your sketchbook, which is amazing. I'm gonna be using a tiny art palette. The tiniest sketchbook I own, which is not that small. I kind of wish I had a smaller one, but this will do. And then the smallest brushes I own, which is a different array of Craftima ones. So let's jump in and paint tiny. Okay, so I raised my desk and I'm standing up so this could be closer to the camera, so hopefully you can get a better look at what we're doing because it is going to be so much smaller. Okay, so like I said, we are painting small. This is the palette. I believe I got it off Etsy. And like I said, it opens like this. It has magnets on the side, which is really handy. And then what you do is you can clip it, very handy, to your sketchbook. So you just pick a page, get your clip, and then you have it like that. This is actually really great for traveling too. And then the brushes I have a size 2 filbert. I have this, I don't even know what size this is. This was a sample brush from Craftimo. Looks actually the same as this one. So it's this 3-0, so maybe I'll just use this one. Then I also have this teeny tiny little size 2 dagger. And I also have, this 2/01. That's a, what's it called? You know, a round brush. It's from Princeton. It's a Princeton snap brush. I don't know if I have, do I have another round brush somewhere? Probably. I don't know. But yeah, there's just, let's just stick with these for now. I do have another smaller round brush. Maybe I'll just use this size 2 from Craftimo. And we're just going to paint really small. So I want to paint some florals, because I actually love painting tiny flowers. I find it so much fun and relaxing. And it's actually a lot easier because you don't need that much detail because they are so teeny tiny. So let's do it. I'm kind of curious because I haven't really painted tiny florals. I want to paint with this filbert the way I would paint with a bigger filbert and see how that goes. So the paint colors in here, I should actually probably swatch them first because I don't remember exactly. Actually, hold on. I'll swatch them here. I don't remember exactly what paint colors I put in here. I do believe that they are my Winsor and Newton paints. I can't remember if I filled it on camera. Ooh, purple. So we have, looks like Phthalo Blue, Dioxazine Purple. I believe this is Sap Green. I'm going to guess Indigo or Paynes Gray. Oh no, that's the Perylene Green. Yeah, see, these are definitely my Winsor and Newton. This will be perfect for florals. We got some yellow. Ooh, there was a chunk of red in there. So that's not yellow. We got some, here we go. Some yellow, probably cadmium yellow. Some Winsor red, I'm gonna guess. Some permanent rose. No, that looks like opera rose. And what is this? So I don't have permanent rose in here. Magenta. Okay. So I'm just gonna put little bits of water in each just to keep them all nice and moist and activated. There is the tiniest little mixing well, which does come in handy. But you do have to clean it out a little bit often, but that's okay. And we're gonna start. So I wanna use the filbert. And we're just gonna start by doing, let's do like a little poppy or something. So I'm gonna grab some red. Oops, a lot of paint on there, so I gotta make sure I don't use as much. And I'm just gonna try and do this teeny tiny little poppy. Maybe I'll do 2. So I'm just using it mostly on its side. Maybe it's curved up. Like that. So tiny. And then let's do another one that's kind of pointing to the side. So I'm going to do kind of like a C here. And then just like that. I'm going to add a little bit more red. Like so. Teeny tiny. Then I'm going to grab a small, let's grab a small detail brush. And I'm going to do the stems like so. Like that. And these are about the size of like smaller than my finger. And I know they have like spikier leaves. I was going to say, but I'm not going to do that, but I'll just try and do something similar. Like that. It's actually nice painting small because you don't have to put too much detail. You know what I mean? You don't have to worry about so much detail on them, but it's nice. Okay, I want to wait till those are dry to do a bit more detail on it, but we'll just continue with another one. Okay, so let's try some like a stocky kind. I'm gonna grab this size 2/0 from Princeton Snap. I'm gonna get some pink. I don't know why, but I find it really calming to paint tiny. So I'm doing these like little flowers with like a center. They're going to be kind of like on a stalk. So they could be like delphinium or I don't know. Maybe I'll mix a little bit of magenta in there just to get different hues of pink. Some can be a bit brighter than others. And really, I'm barely painting actual flowers. Like if you look at them, they're blobs with kind of holes in the middle. So you don't have to worry about it being perfect. You really don't. Some of them are not going to have holes in the middle. Maybe it'll be like side views. But I'm not worrying too much about the shapes. Like that. And they're just going to get smaller as we get closer to the top. Maybe I'll do one down here, a bit more of the opera rose. Like that. Then I'm going to grab that teeny tiny little detail brush. And my favorite part is doing the stem through the middle. And it touches gently the flowers and the base of the flowers. For the record, I don't think I have detail brushes in my collection this small, but Craftimo does. I believe. Their bamboo set, which I started out with, I believe went really, really tiny. Actually, it does, because I have this one, I think. Yeah. So check those out if you want some detail brushes. I typically don't use brushes this small, so I don't include them in my collections with them, but I do little buds, a little bit more water, towards the one at the top. Some that are just green that haven't bloomed yet. Like that. And then I'm going to wash that off. I'm just going to do a bit of a bigger leaf at the bottom. Like so. Maybe get some of that dark green in there. Like that. Okay, and then I want to just add a tiny bit of yellow to the center of some of these. And if it's still wet and it bleeds a little, that's fine. Like that. Okay, this one's still drying a bit, so I'm going to wait. All right, let's do... I'm trying to think of another fun flower let's do a rose because there's actually a pretty simple-ish way to do it small. So I'm gonna pick, what color should I do? Let's do like an peachy kind of orange rose. Maybe a bit pink. Okay, I'm gonna just take some of that off and I'm gonna just do the outline. This kind of wonky circle like that. Maybe I'll do one that's a bit more pink. Okay, and then with this, you gotta wait for them to dry. So maybe I'll do one more tinier one there. Okay, we gotta wait for that to dry, but actually, you know what? Hold on. We can do some wet on wet. So maybe I'll grab a little bit more pink, just a little bit of a darker color, and I'm just gonna do, let's see if this works. Maybe a bit of magenta. Just do a little bit of curves going around while it's still wet. And we'll do a bit more after, but see how it already kind of looks like a rose? You're just doing like the shadows of the curves of some of the petals. Like that. But we'll wait to do more detailed ones once it's dry. And if it's too dark, you can always wash and dry with your brush and then lift some up. Like that. Just lift some curves up for highlights. You have to continuously wash and dry off your brush. Okay, so let's leave that and then we'll come back to that one as well. Okay, another one. I don't really love how neon that became, but that's because we used Opera Rose. But you can always go back, do a little bit of like line work on some of these, just for a bit more detail, and it doesn't have to be perfect detail either because it's so tiny. Like that. Okay. All right, is this dry? That is dry. So let's go back to this. I'm going to grab some a bit more red and mix it with the magenta so it's a bit darker. And I'm going to do just a little bit of lines to show folds. Like that. Just a little bit. Then I'm going to grab my purple because I just want a really dark color. Maybe a little bit of the green, dark green, and that kind of creates a black. And I'm just going to do the center. So just kind of dotting around for this circular center like that. And then little tiny dots coming off of that. You can do some lines, but you don't want to overwhelm it with the lines. Because it is so small, it will end up looking really dense. Like that. Super tiny poppies. Okay, is this dry? This is dry. All right. Let's take our small brush and grab our darker color. And you're just going to, maybe even a little bit darker. You're just going to do some little curves going around. And usually I say they have to connect, right? When we're doing our loose florals, but because this is all colored in, they don't actually have to connect. You're just doing the shadows. You're not actually painting the petals, you're painting the shadows within the petals. So you can do kind of a bit more disconnected strokes, if that makes sense. You're just painting the shadows here. Like that. And then we got to do the leaves. So let's get a little bit of green, a nice dark green. Like we can do, make these have stems too if we want. This will have a bottom to it and like those little bits like that. Maybe a little bit of green. I feel like I need to go a little bit lighter to start. We'll have the bigger leaves kind of coming off the stems here. Water control is not hard with this, it's just something you have to get used to painting tiny, because you don't want to overwhelm it with lots of water, but you do need water. So I keep having to like adjust the amount that I pick up on my brush, which is a little bit like, ugh, but you figure it out. Just some little leaves. And a little bit more darkness on the leaves like that. You can even make them a bit more jagged if you want. Like so. Okay, so there we go. There's our roses. Let's do 2 more. Okay. Let's do tiny little purpley asters, even though I don't have the purple I want. I'm going to start with yellow, and I'm just going to do some circles to start. Like that. Okay, and then I'm going to let that dry, because I don't want the purple to bleed in it. And while that's drying, I am going to kind of mix this all up, and I'm gonna lift it up so I can have a bit more space. Oops. This does not lift as well. I need paper towel. Okay. Okay, that's clean enough. All right. And I'm gonna mix the color I want. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of blue, a little bit of purple. So it's like a bluey purple. And I'm gonna water it down. And I'm just gonna start by doing these tiny little single strokes. These are everywhere right now. I'll do some just coming down on the side. Like, so simple. You can't mess this up. You're just doing little lines. I mean, maybe if you do your lines a little bit too big or thick, it might feel like, well, why does this not look right? So try and keep them really small. Like that. And also, you don't need to put them perfectly all around. Have some gaps. I feel like that looks a bit more realistic to the asters that we see. And then maybe one that's like just the side view. Like that. Maybe one more to balance it out up here. Like so. Okay. And again, grabbing my teeny tiny one, because this is the best for the stems. Like that, and I'm just going to connect them all. Now I can't remember, but I believe asters have those kind of jagged leaves as well. Okay. So it's up to you. You don't have to, like when I say I'm painting asters, you don't have to paint like any actual flower, to be honest. You can make it up, like have it resemble a flower, and then do your own leaves. Like, these are paintings, they're not real life, you know, things that have to be completely correct. Just have fun with it. All right, a little bit of darkness in there. There we go, so cute. Okay, and then for our last one, let's do, I love tulips, but I feel like I do them too often. What's something I'm seeing right now a lot of? I mean, I could try a peony. Peonies are out of season right now. Let's do, should we do sunflowers? Maybe sunflowers and then peonies, because I want to just do more. Okay, let's do sunflower. Okay, so I need to make brown. So I'm going to create orange first. That's just how I do it. Or not orange. I'll just actually get a little bit of red, but then mix it with green. A little bit more on the red and the yellow side though. Like that. And I'm just gonna do, 2 sunflowers. It's a little bit too green. A little bit more red, a little bit more yellow. I want it to be nice and decently light. Okay, so there's one. And then I'm going to do the side view of another one. Like this. Okay. Try and lift up some of that. Okay, and I'm going to let that dry before we do the actual petals. So let's go over here and do a peony. Same kind of way as our rose, I think, would be best. So let's do a pinkish peony. And I'm going to start by just doing the outline, the shape of it. So I'm going to do kind of like this ball shape. And then make it kind of jagged. And then just do some maybe petals that are falling. So we're starting light. Okay. Starting with a lighter wash so we can go in there with darker paint. Okay, because then you can grab, we can do it while it's a little bit wet still. And just start placing in little bits of shadows. So right at the base of the peony, and then kind of start doing little dots where all those little tiny petals would be clustered together. See that? Okay. And then I'm going to leave it. I'm going to let it dry, and then we can do a little bit more detail. Okay. Is this dry yet? It is dry. No, it's not. Almost. There it is. Now it's dry. One thing about working tiny is that it dries really fast, so that's always good. All right, let's do our petals for our sunflower. So I'm going to grab some yellow. Don't have much more room on here, but that's okay. I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to grab a tiny, tiny bit of red just to make it a little bit more warm. And I'm just going to start doing the petals on this side. And they're going to be longer on this side, a little bit more. Oof. That red is so intense that if you just take a tiny bit of it, it really kind of overpowers it. See, now it's like orange. Darn it. Get a little bit more yellow. I mean, it's fine if it's orange. Okay, and then the petals on this side are going to be kind of like short, and like they're folded up. Like that. Okay, and then this one can just be going all the way around. You can have a little bit of red in there, no problem. Okay. You can even grab a little bit of brown and kind of just like, while it's still wet, just place it close to the base of some of those, and it just creates a bit of a shadow. Even like drag it up through the petal like that. And then you're going to grab your brown again. I'm going to grab a bit more green, I think. Well, it's purple. Purple, green, maybe a bit of red. Create a dark brown, and I'm just going to use my brush to tap little tiny dots around that brown center, so darker than we originally went. Like that. And then if you do want to create a little bit more, oops, it's too much again, a little bit more on some of the petals, you can make kind of like a bit of an orange and just do some of them a bit more orangey. Again, it doesn't have to be super detailed. And then we need some green. Green kind of coming up, popping out the back here. And then some leaves. Oh, I'm gonna grab the smaller one. Like that. Kind of popping out the sides. And then you can have the stem coming down, and then a bigger leaf like that. Okay, that's done. And then last but not least, this peony. Okay, that's pretty good as it is. I wouldn't do too much else, but we can just do a little bit more detail. So I'm gonna grab a bit more magenta, and I'm just gonna do a little bit more kind of squiggly lines closer to the center. And then maybe a couple lines kind of coming down the base here, just outlining a bit, but you don't want to do too much. I think it's pretty good as it is. I feel like we should have done a little bud too. So I'm just going to do like a little circle. Like that. I'm going to let it dry while we do the stem. And then I'll have a stem of this one kind of come down. I have a couple leaves. Then this has like the little part that goes around the bud. Little kind of openings, or like the little parts that fall. I'm gonna grab my slightly bigger brush. And then I'll just do some bigger leaves. Like that. Nope, that's purple. Gotta remember which color is which. Like that. And we have the tiniest little garden of flowers. So there you go. Let me know what you guys think. Honestly, that's so much fun to do. It's kind of relaxing, but I really love painting tiny, and I hope you guys enjoyed this super tiny tutorial. Thank you all so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it, and I hope you learned something, and I hope you enjoyed painting tiny with me. Like, look how tiny that is. I love it. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on all my other platforms for tons more content. I'll see you guys in our next tutorial. Bye, guys.